Hello Studio Arts kids! It is I, your art teacher who you've never met. So, I'm going to show you how I want you to do our first graded project. Do this on whatever paper you have that is most easily available to you. If it's lined, that is okay. I just want you to do a good job. So do what you're best. Do what you're capable of the most. I'm having a hard time with words. So, hopefully you've watched the videos I posted from YouTube or shared with you about shading and blending and pressure. That's going to come in key. So for starters, we are doing ribbon drawing. I think I'm actually going to draw an HB. Yeah. All right. So for ribbons, this is something that I learned how to do when I was in beginning art in high school. You're going to start off by doing a really nice, smooth, wavy line across your page. Try to keep it loose, get some like meandering wiggles in there. It's more interesting if it takes up the entire page. You know, don't just give me one little line that's like, there. Don't do that, that's just pathetic. All right, so once you have your little squiggly stream thing, then you need to make it start to look like more of a ribbon. So I'm going to figure out how wide I want my ribbon to be. Do I want it to be thin, narrow, medium? I think I'm going to go a little bit on the thinner side this time just for fun. So I'm going to draw these little tabs that come all the way down. I'm trying to keep them about the same length. I'm just eyeballing it, so if it's not perfect, I'm going to live with it. But I'm trying to keep them roughly the same length. So from every edge I'm going from. And notice I am not like coming in like that. Don't do that, that looks dumb. Make sure you're coming from the outermost edge of your little ribbon line. And I like to angle my lines a little bit versus having them come straight down, because I think it just adds a little bit more movement to it. But if you want yours to come straight down, that's fine too. Okay, so now that I have that, this is the top part of my ribbon. And this is the bottom part, so I need to draw in the bottom part now. Make sure I'm in the screen. And I want to copy this line up here, so I want to copy the curve. Now, as you come into a corner or an edge, try to follow that bend around. It's going to get cut off by the ribbon in front of it, and that's okay. And I'm a big fan of slightly rounded edges here. I've seen people like when they just kind of draw straight across like that, and it doesn't look right because up here is a curve, there should be a curve here as well. So make sure, curve, curve. Same. And those I don't have to worry about because they cut each other off. Same with there. So here is a little tricky. So normally, in a perfect world, I'd be able to see the ribbon right there, but this is cutting it off. So I have to come up over here and follow the ribbon around. Now what you may notice is over here, the ribbon is starting to taper off and it's going to get cut off. That is okay. It's supposed to be like that because, let's see, I don't have any ribbon here, but for instance, I have my lanyard. So if I'm looking at it straight, it's one length. If I'm looking at it from the side, it's another length. But when I ever start to twist it, I lose that visual density there in the center. So you have to think about it twisting. So wherever the ribbon is twisting, you're losing the thickness. All right, so I'm gonna start over here. I'm gonna clean up my lines later, so I'm not gonna worry about this too much. There we go. And voila, I have a ribbon. How about that? So now I want to make this look three-dimensional, so I'm going to shade. Now, I just have an HB. If you have a full set of drawing pencils, go ahead and use those. I'm just going to use the HB because it's probably closest to the number 2 pencil that all of you probably have at home already. You know, just the pencil used for like everything. Sorry, coffee break. Got my dinosaur mug today. Alright, so for shading, figure out where you want your light source to be. So if my light source is coming from straight, let's see here, how should I do this? I'm going to have my light source coming in from straight. So that means the center parts of my ribbons are going to be lightest because that's closest to my light source. So I'm going to shade a little bit on the edges. Now I'm going to do this really, really fast, and then I'm going to show you an example that I already started but I haven't finished, and I'm going to time lapse through that one. So this is going to be like super, super chunky. This is just a quick sketch. This is not what you should have for a final project, or what you will turn into me. Okay, so I have like some midtones down. Oops. And let's see here. There we go. So now on the furthest most edges and where there's some overlap here, that's where I need to shade a little bit darker. So I'm just going to go ahead and scribble that in. Please remember, this is not what your final should look like. I'm just showing you this just to give you an idea. Sorry, I can't really talk and draw at the same time. I do not have that talent. The main thing for this is that you want to make sure you have a full range of value. Light, medium, dark. And when I say light, medium, dark, I mean your whites, your lights need to be bright white. Your darks need to be rich black. You can't have one without the other. Because if you don't have that contrast, those extremes, it looks weak. And no one likes weak drawing. No, no. We don't do that here. We're better than that. So hopefully you can see like how this is coming along. I need to get a little bit darker here since there's some overlap. And then it'll come down here. Alright, so hopefully you can see this now. Have my darks, mediums, lights. Just kind of like basic value ranges here for the ribbon. So now, that's just my practice one. This is what I've been working on. Let me adjust my little camera thing here. So I already started this example. There we go. I've been using my 4H and trying to start to lay in my lights. Then I'll go in with my HB and then 6B. And then after that, I'll blend it. So I'm going to time lapse through this part. And then I'll stop once I get to blending. Alright, so I now have this all shaded in with my 4H, 2 or HB, and 6B. So now comes the time to blend it. Now I'm going to use a blending stump. This has a little bit of charcoal on it, but no worries. So blending stump, in case you haven't used one before, is just compressed paper pointed at the ends, and just use it for blending and working the graphite into the texture of the paper. So I'm gonna try to get rid of almost all of like that little graininess, you know, that you get with the paper. If you don't have a blending stump, just use a Kleenex or a piece of toilet paper or a paper towel. That works just fine too. I do not recommend using your finger to blend. For one, you won't have as much control. And secondly, the oils from your finger will contaminate the paper and the graphite, and it can lead to yellowing. So just use a piece of paper. It's better. All right, and when you're blending, always blend from lightest to darkest because you don't want your lights getting contaminated by the dark areas. So I'm gonna start with my lighter areas and work down, and lighter areas and work down. You get the feel of it. All right, time for time lapse again. All right, so you see here I have it all blended with my blending stump and shaded, but I lost some white areas. In some places I'm really not happy with how it looks. It's a little chunky. I think because sometimes when you blend it gets a little bit darker than you want, which means I now need to erase out a little bit, or lift out, as we say in the art world, because you're lifting out the pigment. So in areas I think it needs to be a little bit lighter, I'm gonna come on in and erase. And in order to get that nice like blended smoothness, some areas I'm pressing pretty hard, some areas I'm barely pressing at all. It just depends on the effect that you want. So I think over here maybe needs a little bit better. Definitely right here. And also, as we go along, and if any of you have me in the future for drawing and painting, you'll come to find that you use your eraser to draw just as much as you do your pencil or charcoal. Erasers aren't just for fixing mistakes, they're for drawing also. And what I'm looking for with this is looking for places that need to come forward more. So in art, we say that things that need to be darker need to get pushed back into space, which means they need to be darker. And things that need to come forward need to be lightened. Because visually, light things come forward in space, dark pushes back. So anything that I want to come forward more, and I'm gonna break my rules and just kind of soften that with my finger. And now my finger is gross. I don't remember what I was saying, sorry. Well, later on, if you ever tell me, or if you ever have me in actual class, and you hear me tell you that you need to lift out, I'm telling you to erase. If I'm telling you to push something back, I'm telling you to make it darker. Just so you know. And there are some areas here in the corners where I may want to really like come back in with my 6B and just dig that in. I'm trying to make this look as three-dimensional as possible. And also what I'm doing is I'm trying to not rely on outline. So I'm trying to teach you guys how to draw like the big kids. You know, I want people to be able to look at your drawings and think, wow, are they in college? They're really good at this. Surely they must be professional artists. That's what I'm going for. I know you're not there yet. It's okay. But these are the things that you learn to get to that point. And one of those things is you don't really outline anymore. I mean, I started off with a line, that's fine. But in order to define areas, it's not an outline. It's a highlight next to a shadow. So once you learn that division and how to achieve that, your drawings are going to become so much stronger. But you have to learn how to put a highlight next to a shadow. And a line is the easy way, just outlining. But you know what, that's kind of lazy. I mean, like, there's a time and a place for it, and I'm guilty of that when I do like little cartoons or characters. It's fine. But for what we're doing, it's lazy, and I don't want it. So we're getting there, we're getting there. Thankfully, I'm not wearing a mask right now because I'm the only one here, and I can actually blow on my art. Because I have tried to blow eraser dust off of art while wearing a mask. I'm sure you can guess that did not go well. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Okay, so that's fairly decent. Wow, my hands are messy. So the last step that I'm going to do for this is I'm going to color the entire background with black Sharpie. This is really going to make my drawing pop and kind of come off the page, which is what we're going for. We're going for that optical illusion. So I'm going to time lapse that so you can see the whole thing.